Hello friends, James Stevenson back with your weekly subscriber exclusive episode of James and Loki's Gems of the Week, the series in which Loki, dozing peacefully, kind of, no, you can see he's got his eyes open in his bed, in the episode in which Loki and I go through all the posts that we liked on X over the previous week and talk about why we liked them. Easy for me to say. Without further ado, we will jump right in and pick up where we left off last week with the last post that I liked. It was the one that I was liking to show you this animation. I'm not going to click it again because then it'll be the last post I liked this week too, and I'll get confused next week and not know what's going on. Here is the next post that I actually liked after recording last week's episode. It comes from Jan of the Universe at the EV Universe on X. This post was done by a Tesla bull as a joke, by the way, replying to Sawyer Merritt. This will not end well for them, was the way Sawyer Merritt captioned correctly, like the people who are following the parody advice from Garcia here. I don't know Garcia's other name, but one of Garcia's names is Garcia. Ready to stick it to Elon and short Tesla? This is how you can make money from Tesla stock going down. Get a brokerage account, deposit as much as you can, go to Tesla, buy puts, select June 20th, 2025, $100 strike. Buy as many contracts as you can. They are $130 each. If Tesla's at like 250 now and keeps going down, that's a pretty big if. You're making loads of money straight from Elon's pocket where it hurts him the most. Like, there's a lot of misinformation in this post, some of which I feel people missed. You can't hurt Elon specifically by buying puts. Even if you made profits off of them, you're making those profits off of whoever took the other side of your put option, which was not Elon Musk. So he doesn't lose any money when Tesla's stock price goes down. It's just the paper value of his investment in Tesla that changes. Unless he's buying or selling shares, there's no impact to Elon. So I'll click this next arrow and show you how bad the news was for people who went ahead and bought those contracts right away before Tesla's stock price rose a lot last week after falling a lot up until that. So I will not belabor this week's video. Readers added context. This Reddit post was written as a satire post by an Elon fan account. The post has since been removed. I went looking for it later on in the week. It was a real thing. Let's see. Did I reply to this? I feel like I did. It would show me right away if I had, I think. All right, I don't see it there, so I'm just gonna click back before something bad happens and I lose my place, because it's too early in the episode for me to lose my place in my likes. Here's one from AL Set. Never seen this before. Tesla Diner update. I just thought you, my subscribers, might like to see how the West Hollywood Tesla diner is shaping up. I almost called it a drive-in. It's not exactly a drive-in. I'm not sure they're going to carry food out to you, which is how I define a drive-in. But it will have that retro futuristic look. The future that always was and never will be from the 1940s that made its way into architecture in the 1950s, I think, is what they're going for. The retro-futuristic vibe. And oh yeah, by the way, if you live in these apartments, there's going to be a very bright TV shining in your windows. I made a tweet about that over a year ago. I guess that's one of the trade-offs of living in a West Hollywood, California apartment. if you live in that one. Okay, here's one from Jeremy Judkins, at Jeremy Judkins _. You never know what you're going to get with a Jeremy Judkins post. Let's see what this one is. Is your guy homeless? Charge at home, and you'll never need to visit a Tesla supercharger. It's quicker than getting gas, takes seconds to plug in, and it charges while you sleep. With the screenshot here, POV, you're dating a guy with Tesla, so you gotta charge every few miles, is how she posted that. So I guess her guy is laying down on his side, getting some rest while the car is recharging. This has been my experience owning a Tesla because I never drive anywhere fun. I never take road trips. So the only supercharger I've ever visited was on the way back from a Tesla service center back when there were none close to me. When they only left me 20% charge, and I couldn't make it home on that, so I had to stop at a supercharger, and that's the only supercharger my 2018 Tesla Model 3 has ever visited. Counting last week when I was blocked out of my own garage by a dumpster that the roofing crew parked while they were changing out the roof over my abode. I only made it down to 25% state of charge, I think, over that week. And I was doing regular stuff, running errands and shopping or whatever I was doing, groceries, etc. Here's one from Warren Redlick. I liked a few of his this week. I smell burning shorts with a 10% up day on March 24th. That's unusual. I think it was up by more before the close of business. It might have been up like 12%, something like that. I didn't see an updated chart from CERN Basher, but I figured I would show you this video, not because I like a video of a driver falling asleep and plowing over an exit sign on the interstate in China, but because that driver was driving a Tesla. He walked away unharmed, which is what this post from Tesla Chan says that I liked. On a road in China, a Model Y crashed, spun around in the air, and then fell. What was most surprising was that the driver was not seriously injured. He said he was drowsy. It is an incredibly safe vehicle, 5 stars. Yeah, I mean, this one caught a lot of air. That is serious airtime. That's like from a video game. Crazy stuff. Glad to know that driver was okay. Here's one from NSF, NASA spaceflight. NSF is a bad start for something that you see online, but if the rest of it is NASA spaceflight, you're okay. High Bay Bridge crane is being removed at Starbase. The High Bay is being demolished to make room for the future Gigabay. The High Bay wasn't high enough. They are going to put in an even higher High Bay at Starbase, Texas. Maybe they want to do the full stack of Starship under the High Bay, the Gigabay, and then roll them out to the launch pad stacked up. That's going to be nutty to see if that's what they're doing. If you know what the plans are, reply in the comments below and let me know. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt News. Tesla's Giga Berlin factory has increased its localization of suppliers with the recent switch to the new Model Y, with 92% of components now coming from somewhere in Europe. This makes us even more resilient to disturbances in world trade. So if you're worried Tesla's going to get bitten badly by the tariff wars brewing between countries lately, don't worry about Giga Berlin. They are getting 92% of their Model Y's needed parts from elsewhere in Europe, and I don't think European countries can charge each other tariffs unless they're outside the EU, maybe. So EU countries, I wouldn't think would want to charge each other tariffs. So that's good news, or if they do, they're small. Here's one from Chris Dungeon. Tesla, hashtag Tesla, now trading at $4,175. Pre all splits keeps things in perspective for us OGs. Yeah, Kathy Wood called it way back in 2018, saying Tesla was heading for 4,000 when none of the Wall Street analysts had a price target above $500. Kathy Wood had a target 8 times higher than the highest of 30 Wall Street analysts covering Tesla. And she was right. Tesla did make it to 4,000 pre all splits. The first split was August of 2020, and the second was August of 2022. And then there haven't been any since. Here's one from I Like Teslas. This is Jose. I would have never in a million years expected to read something like this with a screenshot of the U.S. Oil and Gas Association's official verified account saying the president of Usoga is just about ready to order this Tesla not because he needs it, but to show solidarity with the innovators and builders. The head of the Oil and Gas Association buying a Tesla. What is the world coming to? Like, it's not that nothing like this has ever happened before. Plenty of oil company executives buy and drive Teslas, but they don't tweet about it from their official verified account, right? They don't tell people, hey, we're going to buy a Tesla. That is where we are these days. Here's one from Robert Scoble, spring cleaning report here on X. I've already unfollowed about 1,500 accounts, all by hand. My goal is to unfollow most accounts to get down to a few thousand instead of the 23,000 I currently follow. I once followed 79,000. It's very painful why a lot of people don't post anymore, i.e. left for another network. I can tell I'm on mute on a lot of accounts. I know I'll lose followers, already have lost a bunch. On the other hand, my For You feed is already getting better. I'm keeping only the best of those who are covering AI robotics and holodeck technologies. If I unfollow someone and it hurts your feelings, it's okay to drop me a DM telling me so. I will reconsider if the note is nice. Even though I still see everyone, because I keep you on my lists and I mostly watch X using XPro and lists, it will be interesting to see what happens after I get through everyone. I'm also working with Circle Boom to unfollow inactive accounts. We'll give you a report on that after I get done, probably on Alex Finn's X's space. So we saw the update overnight. So last night, we got the Circle Boom update, and it's that these jokers, I'm going to call them without knowing them very well, charge $1,000 for their unfollowing service. And Robert Scoble paid them $1,000 to try out their service because that is how serious he is about helping founders of tech companies try to get off the ground with what they're doing. He did pay $1,000 for their service, and his review was that it isn't worth $1,000, that the product is not that good. It's not worth a fraction of that. One thing I notice is I'm getting engagement from people I haven't seen in a while, exposed to people who you are following at a higher rate. So I have a feeling already that as I unfollow dead accounts for people who aren't interested in AI, that I'm getting distributed to more people who are. If you are seeing this, drop me a like, thanks. So a whole lot of people dropped him a like. I dropped him a like because Robert Scoble is still following me among his 20,000 people he's following. Here's one more from Sawyer that I liked this week. We'll probably see more from him because he's so good at posting things. News: Canaccord Genuity analyst Gianna Rigas visited Tesla's Giga Texas factory a few days ago. We toured the Cybertruck line and saw firsthand elements of the future unboxed manufacturing strategy that promises to materially increase production efficiencies. It's hard not to be impressed with how future-forward Tesla is, whether it's vehicle design or manufacturing, consistently rethinking the status quo, and Then there was FSD version 13.2.8. Yes, it was in Austin on a sunny day on a known path, but it was smooth. Zero interventions, great highway merging, no issues, and the new Model Y, we really liked it in person, not to mention the gold cybercab we saw roaming the Austin campus future forward. He iterates his $404 Tesla price target, and that isn't the highest Tesla price target. There's a bunch of good analysts with higher price targets than this that have reiterated recently. So the rumors of Tesla's demise due to a weak Q1 have been greatly exaggerated. It's happened so many times now I've lost count of the bad Q1s Tesla has turned in. Every time it happens, people say, this is the end, it's over, pack it up, Tesla is done, they're going bankrupt because they had a bad Q1, and then the other quarters are all better than Q1 was, and the year finishes just fine with lots of earnings. Here's one from Solam Algo. Some dude in Zimbabwe already did it. I was the only person to like this post. It got one like from me, and I replied to it, underrated reply. He said, one person gets it, most people looking for the first trillionaire are financially illiterate. Let's see what he was replying to. It was Peter H. Diamandis asking who will become the world's first trillionaire. It's been done already. It was done in Zimbabwe. If you don't know this story, I'll recap it for you very briefly. The government of Zimbabwe thought that they could get out of their economic problems by printing more money. A lot of young people all around the world believe this to be true. They think, hey, the government has the power to make as much money as it wants. All you have to do if you're in a debt crisis is print more money and pay the debt with it. That's easy, right? If you're having difficulty raising tax revenues, just print the money. Print the money and pay all of your government employees with that. You don't even have to tax for it, right? There's no need to tax it away from your citizens. All you have to do is print more. And they kept doing that until they were printing $500 trillion bills. Yep. You have probably guessed that what happened, if you know a little about economics, is that they had hyperinflation. Their inflation rate kept ratcheting up higher and higher. The more money they printed, the greater their inflation percentage became. It was thousands of percent per year because they kept printing more money to pay all of their bills instead of taking it from the tax base, instead of growing the economic base, instead of increasing the GDP of their country with real economic output. That's the actual economy, not money, not dollars. As they found out in Zimbabwe, I think John Stossel carries a $500 trillion bill in his wallet all the time from Zimbabwe, and a collector might pay a few dollars for a $500 trillion Zimbabwe note. That's what you have to do. You have to keep increasing the denomination because the lower denomination bills are worthless. The $1 million bills, the $1 billion bills, you can load up a wheelbarrow with $1 million bills in Zimbabwe and it won't buy anything. It won't buy a loaf of bread. Nobody wants that wheelbarrow full of $1 million bills. It's not enough money. If you have printed many trillions of dollars worth of bills, as they did. So this guy was right. Some dude in Zimbabwe already did it. Probably the president of Zimbabwe was the first trillionaire in the world. Unless some other country did it first, and I don't know about it. Here's one from Tesla Economics, what it looks like for the Tesla Q shorts today. What a crazy video this is. People trying to hold on to a tent to keep it from blowing away in a rainstorm. It's worth watching twice. Remember to let go. If the tent stakes come up off the ground, let go. Don't keep holding on. That's a recipe for a serious injury. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt News. Tesla has staged a comeback in Norway's EV market with the launch of the new Model Y. With deliveries starting domestically, the new all-electric crossover has reclaimed its spot as Norway's most registered car this month and year to date. Good news there out of Norway for the Model Y. Tesla can deliver a whole lot of cars in a great big hurry because the delivery process can be expedited so fast, right? If somebody wants to take delivery of a Tesla real quick, they can. There's not necessarily an hour or even half an hour required to pick up a Tesla. People have reported doing it in 5 minutes or less. Here's one from Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley in California. This is Joe Lawrence's account, I think. Some guy pulled up next to me in his big boy truck honking his horn. I look over thinking, here comes the finger. But he motions me to roll down the window, and I'm like, but I already know what you're going to say. He says, I just came from LA, and your truck is the sickest Cybertruck I've seen. I smiled and gave him a thumbs up and thought to myself, we're healing. Yeah, that's a pretty cool unplugged performance modded Cybertruck. PimpMyEV.com. That's good stuff. From Joe. Here's one from Hallmar's catalog. This is Omar. All your base are belong to us. All your base, base, all your base are belong to us. If you're not aware of what I'm doing, if you think I'm having a stroke, he's making a reference to one of the oldest memes on the internet. It was already circulating in 1999. I think, as a very silly dance remix song of a poorly translated Japanese video game. Something Zero. Let me know in the comments below if you remember the name of the video game. But the company that made the video game saved a lot of money on English translation by not getting someone qualified to do translation to English. And there were a lot of sentences like, all your base are belong to us, due to using, I guess, a literal translation for each word, which sometimes works better than other times. I replied, for great justice, take off every zig. I got 5 likes on that from people who remember the video. Yeah, you have no chance to survive. Make your time. Good stuff. There it is. So if you remember seeing this video a long time ago, you can still find it, I'm sure, if you haven't, and you can amuse yourself with all the amateur photoshopping work that we had to do before AI assistants were available to do it for us in 10 seconds. We just ask for anything we want now and get it like magic. But back in the day, photoshopping was hard. And people photoshopped the expression, all your base are belong to us, in lots of different images at the end of that video. Here's one from Roland Percher at PILOLY. Tesla sold 10,000 Model Y vehicles in China last week. That's 12% more than the week before and the best week this year. I expect this week's sales to be another record, then exports start again, and local sales will be down for a few weeks. The Model Y ramp up is still going on, still some way to go to hit again 16,000 per week. So yes, there was a dip in Q1. You can see the dip here. It's not subtle. It's also not unprecedented, which is a great thing about charts, is you can go back and look at, hey, this happens a lot in China, that deliveries are low for a bit. Now, the bit went on longer than normal here because the ramp-up of Model Y following the retooling effort to make the newly refreshed Model Y. And then it's a very delicate symphony to orchestrate, trying to make sure all of the parts you need to make Model Y show up on time to make as many of them as you want to make every day without a glut or a shortage of any part If you have 10,000 too many tires, you have 40,000 tires. I don't know if you've ever tried to store 40,000 tires anywhere, but you need a large area to store that many tires. So you don't want your order pace to be wrong on any of the thousand or more, the thousands, I think it's safe to say, of parts necessary to make a newly refreshed Model Y. I know Tesla wants to delete parts if they're not necessary, but you still need lots of parts to make cars. It is unavoidably a complex thing when you undertake the manufacture of automobiles. So, yeah, Model 3 production was also interrupted by taking down the lines for Model Y. So good to see that here with weeks 4, 5, and 6 most notably pronounced with lower Model 3 as well as Model Y sales. Interesting data from Roland. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt News. The Financial Times has issued an apology after suggesting Tesla had shady accounting with 1.4 billion missing. You'll see more about this, so I won't talk about it now. I also might make a separate video about this just to document it for posterity. The little run-in that I had with Fred Lambert when he was backing the original report from Financial Times by saying, yes, there is $1 billion missing, 1.4 billion missing dollars that Tesla can't account for, is how Fred Lambert headlined his reposting of the Financial Times article. I should save some of this for that video, so I'll just hit the show more button, and then I'll keep going. We're going to see more about this, I think. Here's one from Elon Musk. The Financial Times can't do finance math. It is an embarrassment to their publication that they had to issue a retraction. Let's see, what else do we have here? It's Sawyer saying, well, with me on March 19th saying a headline should be Fred Lambert raises red flags about his understanding of accounting. Fred replying, this is literally a report from the Financial Times you can see on the screen. Keep attacking the messenger rather than the message. That's what intellectually lazy people do. Well, yeah, so that post from Sawyer got 2,700 likes. Vito at Corleone Capital replied, stop attacking me personally, followed by name calling. I was the only person to like that reply. Here's one from Jim Hall. Fred receiving an award that he granted to himself. Humorously memed by Jim Hall. Here's one from Chansu Bayan. Tesla was just rewarded a U.S. patent for FSD today, March 25th, 2025, data pipeline and deep learning system for autonomous driving. Congrats to Tesla AI team for leading the real-world AI. So Tesla doesn't always file patents, but they are filing a patent here in the U.S. One of the reasons Elon gives for not filing patents is that you have to publish in some detail what you are patenting in order to get the patent, and then that becomes public knowledge. So you're telling people how to do what you did a little. Like, it's not great detail, but there is some detail required to get the patent that becomes publicly available information at that point, and the enforceability of U.S. patents against foreign organizations controlled by foreign governments is questionable. So if BYD were to steal your technology, hypothetically, you know, if Huawei hypothetically were to steal U.S. technology and they're backed by the Chinese Communist government, what are you going to do? You going to sue in a Chinese court? Let me know how that goes. It seems like a waste of time to try doing that. I can even hear it in both of your accents, said Everman, who does not let his real identity be known online. He just always goes by Everman. I was happy to have met him at the Cybertruck First Deliveries event in November of 2023. I tried telling Fred, is what I said when the news came out, that the Financial Times can't do finance math. Ouch, is how he said that. Me to Fred, help me help you. That's what I was extending an olive branch, kind of. I mean, I was doing it with a little humorous jab, a little lighthearted humor, I thought, is what I was injecting to help him understand that he was reposting misinformation. The accounting was not valid. That's not a real thing. The math that they outlined in that article that I read isn't a thing. You can't say, hey, however much money we spent on capital expenditures is the amount that PP&E must go up by. That's not a thing. Sometimes there are ways to figure stuff out by combining the information you find on different financial statements. So the income statement, the cash flow statement, the balance sheet. Sometimes there is valid math that you can do to back into other information that isn't shown, but that ain't one of them. You can't declare that PP&E ought to go up during the quarter by the same amount that your capital expenditures were. I mean, that might happen. Something close to that might happen, but it's probably never going to work exactly. And there are plenty of good reasons why it could be off by a lot. And that's what I was trying to tell Fred. Fred, to me, Fred reacted acerbically to me. I can even hear it in both of your accents, he said. So I laughed at that and gave it a like. Here's one from Yashu Sharma, a story in 3 parts. Here's Electrac with... This is all most people saw. All they saw was this post. Either they saw it as a screenshot, as it's presented here. Tesla accounting raises red flags as report shows $1.4 billion missing. That's declarative. That's a statement. That's not a question. There's nothing in there that indicates that it could be wrong. There's nothing in there that indicates that maybe they haven't done valid accounting. That's just saying Tesla accounting does raise red flags because this report shows that $1.4 billion is missing. That's how people read this, and then they say, oh, it's proven that Tesla cooks the books. They have faked their numbers. I saw it on Twitter. I saw it from a Electrac. Hey, they support EVs. It must be true if they said Tesla can't find $1.4 billion. Here's the red box that Fred Lambert helpfully added to the chart provided by Financial Times, illustrating... The only thing it illustrated to me is that their rule of thumb never works. Every single time they try it, there is a variance. It's either over or under by some amount or another. That's all that chart says. But he added a red arrow and the label red flag. This is a red flag, is what people would see by seeing this. I replied, headline should be Fred Lambert raises red flags about his understanding of accounting, and you've already seen how he reacted to me, and you've already seen Sawyer say, Financial Times issued an apology. They didn't understand the accounting, and an expert reached out to them to explain it to them. I've talked about that too much already. Sindel Palani replied to me, this was my video last week about Tesla not paying its taxes, on which Sindel Palani was already on the record as shown in the video if you didn't watch it. Sindel replying, indeed, we have a very talented, knowledgeable, and rigorous tax team that ensures our taxes are properly administered globally. Serving as a responsible global citizen is core to Tesla's mission. I didn't just like that, I also retweeted it so that people can see Tesla finance VPs will sometimes get on X and confirm stuff for you. So if you're not following Sindel Palani, he is Tesla badged as a vice president of finance, reporting to Vaibhav Taneja, Tesla's CFO. All right, next is this guy arrested today after ramming his mini four-wheeler into a Cybertruck. I think this might be a regular size four-wheeler. Little did he know that the Cybertruck has 1.8 millimeter bulletproof stainless steel doors capable of taking some heavy hits. He was charged with 1 count of felony criminal mischief and failure to identify. All right. So there you go. Just a bad day for that guy. Getting arrested, going to jail for that. Why do that to yourself? Here's the saddest post that I liked this week from Dave Lee. Wife is starting chemo tomorrow for stage 3 node-positive breast cancer. Chemo will be 4 cycles lasting total of 3 months. Thanks for standing with us. Of course, I'm wishing you the best, Dave Lee, with your wife's medical care and treatment, and hoping for a full recovery, of course. So you can get back to doing more enjoyable stuff than that, which would be almost anything. Here's one from Jeremy Arnold at j.arnold. What's he replying to? I'll show you so you have the context. Many of you have suggested Fred Lambert owes me an apology. This is too long a thread for me to read all of, and probably you saw it already if you're a subscriber of mine, because a lot of people saw it. If by chance you didn't, you can pause it and read the whole thing right now and not have to wait for my video about it. But Jeremy replied, and I liked, I'd add that when one's reporting is just a monetized version of a retweet, saying the source was wrong is a lesser defense. That extracted profit ought to correspond with some added value, e.g. extra verification. Rarely does, though. Yeah, if you're gonna monetize content somebody else created, add value to it. Like, if an article is about accounting, and if you don't understand enough accounting to know whether the accounting is right or not, check. Ask an AI assistant. Say, hey, what are some things that could explain the difference between the change in capital expenditures, or the total amount of capital expenditures in a quarter, versus the change in the balance sheet account for plant, property, and equipment, or property, plant, and equipment. That was also a debate on X this week, is which order do you put them in? It doesn't matter. It's PP&E. You have to say either plant or property first, and then you have to say the other one next, and then you say and equipment. It's correct both ways. There isn't a wrong way of saying plant, property, and equipment, or property, plant, and equipment. It's the same 3 things, whichever way you say it. So yeah, check it out. Find out, can the AI assistant tell you where the author of the accounting article went wrong by listing off 6 things that would be able to explain it that happen normally to companies. Like, the comparison that I saw was, well, if you try the same dumb rule of thumb for GM or Ford, their variances are smaller. All right, well, fine. How many superclusters of AI chips have Ford and GM been adding to their plant, property, and equipment? Oh, none? What's the depreciation like on those? When Ford and GM take a line down to do a refresh, how severe is that as a percentage of all the vehicles they're producing. Well, it's smaller, right? Because they're not making that many. When Tesla takes down Model Y, how severe is that? Well, very, because that's most of what Tesla is selling, right? More than half of Tesla's sales are Model Y. I think that's a fair statement to make, at least by units, if not by dollars. And it was a major overhaul to the capital equipment, right? So as soon as you know that, you have to take down a line and throw away capital equipment that's on your assets as PP&E. You have to start accelerating the depreciation on those assets. You have to accelerate the depreciation because you're going to write those assets off when you throw them out, or you're going to get scrap value for them if you can find a buyer for your old obsolete factory equipment, right? Maybe some company wants to buy your old equipment that you've already made 1 million cars with. But either way, you're going to have to do a lot of accelerated depreciation, and it's going to be a big percentage of your total PP&E if you don't make that many models, and Tesla doesn't. But they do make Model Y in 4 different factories. So that easily explains why it would work for Ford and GM and not work for Tesla. Stuff like that, those kinds of examples. Those are mature, old school companies, and they just function differently than Tesla does in materially significant ways to the interpretation of 10Q or a 10K. All right, back out of here and keep going. Here's one from Lincoln. Fred Lambert must be so embarrassed. He, a journalist, his job is just to report accurate news. He is emotionally so fragile that he can't even do his job right. Yeah, hate and anger are a detriment to rational thought. All right. What else do I like here? Here's one from Ken 830. As we pass the 42.0 minute mark in today's broadcast. You're right, it's not fun because most of the people who doubted my decision to buy a Tesla and then buy so much Tesla stock back in 2013 were my friends and family. But you gotta admit, it's fun to watch James tell Tesla Q, I told you so, over and over again. What's he replying to here? Well, it's Galileo Russell. He goes by Gally. At @GFilchy is his handle on X. In investing, it's never over and you never win. I always thought there would be some epic satisfaction from being right and crushing the market. Turns out no one cares. All the arguments I had with people who thought I was an idiot for investing in Tesla and Bitcoin never said you were right. There is no I told you so moment, and even if there is, it's a hollow victory, is how I would rephrase the rest of that sentence. It's a it's a Pyrrhic victory. Fans of Greek history might say. Winning and investing gets you more numbers on a screen, which is great, and that will give you freedom in life. But in some respects, feels like so much wasted energy arguing about the market value of financial assets. Well, yeah, the market value is just going to be what it is. So, the satisfaction from building something real seems exponentially higher than winning an argument in cyberspace and seeing your stonks go up. Something that's taken me a while to learn. He got a lot of likes on that, but Ken saying, hey, it's fine to celebrate when there's something worth celebrating. Don't apologize about it. Here's one from Tesla Doc at TrutMD. So, appeal to authority fallacy, name-calling, and a short lecture against name-calling, followed by more name-calling. Love you, sir, he said, quoting that passage from my long post about what Fred ought to have apologized for and didn't. Love these receipts, said Curious Peggy. when I posted about the Tesla community will not quickly forget the Tesla Q accounting experts who fell for the red flag FUD. I thought before I forgot to do it, I would go figure out who had been propagating the misinformation and get screenshots and then post them right away so people can see them. It's the usual suspects. It's Brad Munkin with what must be his most popular post this year, 387,000 views, 8,600 likes. That is a whole lot for him. If you're committing financial fraud, the last thing you need is Dan McCrum poking holes in your financial statements. He brought down Wirecard. He's now becoming intrigued by Tesla and its dodgy numbers. The article raised eyebrows, and he's kicking the right tires. Well, he was wrong, and his whole smoking gun premise about 1.4 billion missing dollars was disproven by people who understand accounting. And you don't have to understand a lot of accounting to know what he got wrong. Like, that was the frustrating part to me. Is I am not an accountant. I am not a CPA. I've just taken accounting classes along the way to get my undergraduate business degree and my master of business administration. So, and working with accountants over the years in business to try to understand what's going on with real world business situations with Fortune 500 companies. And yeah, you can't just make up some rule of thumb that half the time gets you close to a small variance amount and say, now there's money missing. Well, no, it's just your dumb rule of thumb doesn't work all the time. I always thought the warranty loss reserve was a way to cook the books, and lease loss reserve was a bomb in the balance sheet. It's one of many ways, says Brad Munkin, about ways that you can commit accounting fraud like Tesla does, he thinks, and has for a long time. He's been shorting Tesla for 6 years. You know, if you're following me, how long the hater hiding behind the fake name Brad Munkin has been shorting Tesla and publicly hating hard. I made 31 videos in the Duncan on Munkin series. Do tell is how Common Sense Skeptic at C_S_skeptic captioned his reposting of Fred with Fred's dumb headline, which now has the community note that Financial Times released a correction to their article. And Carl Hansen at Weed10_Weed co-signing on to the skepticism of Tesla's accounting. What else do we have here? Watuzi at Psydude, frequent Tesla hater. At some point, it's not possible to hide and look away from fraud, he said. Not saying this is it yet, but it's long overdue for Tesla / #Tesla. Retweeting Motorhead, as we saw previously. And then this dummy, Adam Warden at Adam_and_EVs. Hilarious to see the attacks on Electric and Fred when the article merely reports what Financial Times reported. Tesla fanboys are dumb. They bring me so much joy. Watching them lose their life savings results in ultimate schadenfreude. The German term for enjoying the pain of others. They're panicking because they can feel the walls closing in and don't know whether to abandon ship now or not. I sense their fear. I love it, said Adam. And then Matthew Battle, perhaps the smartest Tesla Q member, replying, funny is most people defend Tesla have a blue check mark. That is your typical Matthew Battle comment and has been for 6 years. My personal theory on Matthew Battle is that he's a night security guard, and that he walks around on his phone, not interacting with anybody all night long, on his route around some building, where he's a night security guard, and he just he leaves short, stupid comments on Tesla Q members' posts, and that's how he passes his work responsibilities more amenably. Here's one from Will at Tesla Jigsaw. Another one that I liked and retweeted was this video in which he credited me and Sawyer and Alojo and Dr. Jack 16 and Evie Robes. If you didn't see this,
for the company reported a revenue of 97 by the end of 2012. Experts in the contrast to January's selling car to the transit participated. Dumbass. Keep attacking Lambert.
All right, I'll play you this section.
Tesla accounting raises red flags as report shows $1.4 billion missing by electric. Fred Lambert here. James Stevenson responds, headline should be, Fred Lambert raises red flags about his understanding of accounting. Fred Lambert, this is literally a report from Financial Times, you dumbass. Keep attacking the messenger rather than the message. That's what intellectually lazy people do. Bit rude, isn't it? Perhaps it's precisely because James Stevenson does follow and understand Tesla's accounting and already knew that the Financial Times had made a serious error, as evident by a formal apology from the Financial Times a little while afterward. Who's the dumbass in this story again? I'm confused. Now, let's look at the stock price, which is no indicator of rational thought, let's be honest, but this is what the geniuses protesting Tesla want to take down. But here we are, over the past 5...
All right, so I can't play the whole 12-minute video, obviously, but I wanted to share that little bit with you if you didn't notice it when I reposted it, or if you didn't watch the video, or whatever. So there you go. It does feel good to get the validation that I was right. I wasn't sure that that would happen, right? Like when you go out on a limb and say, hey, this is wrong, you don't get a guarantee that later there will be an apology and a retraction. Sometimes people who publish misinformation just leave it. They don't retract it. And then people don't know who was right and who was wrong. So it does feel good when they publish their retraction and apologize, and everybody can see that you were right. But it's not great that most of the people who saw the misinformation are going to continue believing it because they won't hear about the retraction and the apology. Most of the people who saw the headline saw it posted by people who aren't going to post the retraction or the apology. So they will continue to be misinformed and wrong about the topic, and there's nothing I can do about that. And that's the downside of the information economy these days, is that media outlets want clicks. They want eyeballs because that's how they sell ad revenue. People who buy ads want to know, what's your reach? What's your frequency? Who's your audience? Who are the people who are going to see this, and how many people are going to see it? And so they have to keep those numbers up by continuing to write things that people will want to click on to read more about. Sadly, in this case, Financial Times got more clicks when they published their retraction and apology, because people wanted to click that and read to find out, okay, what was wrong about the accounting? What did they miss? How did better accountants figure out that there wasn't any money missing? I keep talking about this story after I say I'm going to stop talking about this story. But I will want to keep that video short when I make it, though. So maybe this is helpful to you to hear more about it. I'll keep going. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt. I figured Tesla would be impacted to some degree due to some parts coming from Mexico and Canada, and to a much lesser degree overseas. And while not trivial, I expected that a strong focus on supply localization in the U.S. would put Tesla in a much better position with these new tariffs than legacy automakers, who often have much lower U.S. parts content. Sawyer is right, and not everybody saw it. So he only got 367 likes here replying to Elon Musk about the 25% tariff on all cars not made in the United States. It's not just finished vehicles that applies to, it's also the car parts that go into vehicles produced in the US. They're all going to be taxed, is what the current proposal is anyway, or whatever. And Elon replied to it, and a lot of people saw his reply. To be clear, this will affect the price of parts in Tesla cars that come from other countries. The cost impact is not trivial. He's right, of course, but he's also right. And I wanted to let you know, in case you missed it, hey, both of these are correct. Yeah, the cost of Tesla vehicles will go up some. Like, maybe it'll cost a few $100s more per Tesla produced in the US because of a 25% tariff. That's not how you spell tariff. On parts imported into the US from other countries. I imagine there aren't that many parts that are coming in from overseas, but there may not be acceptable substitutes for those parts because Tesla would have already gone through the process of figuring out, hey, can we stamp this part ourselves? Can we make this part ourselves? Can we 3D print this? Can we get a company here in town to make this? Or, is there a company in Ohio that can make this for us? Whatever. If they've already decided, no, we can't figure out how to make it ourselves or buy it from an American company, then maybe that means there isn't any acceptable alternative. So Tesla will probably see the cost of cars made in the US go up by some significant amount. But the point Sawyer is making is that because Tesla has already done so much work to bring sourcing and procurement into the local economies of the countries in which they assemble vehicles, Tesla's a lot better off under a trade war than other companies are that are producing final assembly in other countries like Canada or Mexico, or sourcing lots of their parts from Canada or Mexico. Their costs will go up by more than Tesla's are going to go up by, is the message of that reply that I thought was good. Here's one from named at J163-14919. So really you should be saying a Tesla truck only breaks a couple of wheels when versus a bus at highway speed, when the 90 trucks would be a pile of parts, a rusty dust on the side of the road in the same collision. What are we talking about here? Let me scroll up. Show you this photo from Stunt Dummy at Ban FSD. Don't you hate when you're driving down the road and your wheels break? 1995 GM truck, no problem. 1995 Toyota truck, no problem. 2025 Tesla truck, 2 wheels totaled. Well, this vehicle collided with this vehicle, and these vehicles didn't collide with this vehicle, is the point of the reply. Seth Champy saying this was clearly a multi-vehicle accident, and that's why the bus and other vehicles are already parked on the side ahead of the Cybertruck. Stunt Dummy saying, I know. The Cybertruck took out the bus and 3 other vehicles. Only one vehicle is incapable of driving away because only one vehicle lost its wheels as usual. All right, so this is a Wompy Wheel conspiracy theory fan. Tesla's engineers are really good at occupant safety. And one of the things they do is design the vehicle with crumple zones and fail points favorable to the occupants inside the vehicle. And one of those is that the wheels will break off in a severe enough collision rather than the colliding vehicle intruding into the cabin where the people are, right? So that's where the Wompy wheel theory comes from. Yes, wheels can break off of Teslas in an effort to reduce the likelihood of serious injury for occupants inside the vehicle. So a really good reply there. I was one of 6 people who liked. Here's one from Elon Musk. This shows why a regulatory overhaul is necessary. The burden of mountains of regulation is why the high-speed rail can't get done in California, and the bridge that the ship hit still hasn't been fixed. This is a remarkable video you have probably already watched, where this guy is explaining to Jon Stewart why nobody has been hooked up to broadband 4 years after the bill passed Congress, authorizing the government to spend $42 billion to connect rural Americans with broadband. And the problem is that the process you have to follow to apply for and be approved to provide the service requires so many applications and forms and committee meetings and approvals, and it just takes forever. And most companies drop out before they get to the end because they can't make it through all of the regulatory red tape required to get the approvals. And I think I liked and retweeted somebody else in a minute saying what a better solution would have been from the government that doesn't involve growing the size of government bureaucracy. Here's one from Warren Redlick, who is likewise of a libertarian mindset. We just ran down 36 flights of stairs due to the earthquake that affected Burma and cities as far away as Bangkok, Thailand, where it was still a pretty serious earthquake. So a lot of likes there that Warren was okay in the earthquake. Here's one from Viv at Battle Angel Viv, who has changed her profile picture to the AI-generated image fad of the week, which is converting photographs into Studio Ghibli style, art style. You think you're protesting a faceless company, but in reality you're attacking over 100,000 employees, pouring their heart and soul into making truly great products that bring you joy. We're trying to leave the world better than we found it. It does not seem like you are. Addressing the protesters. Yeah, great points being made by Viv from her personal account in this case. Here's one from Kyle Paul at Allsit Center. You can't fool a hardware for Tesla using FSD. So I guess that that popular YouTuber's video where he crashed into a fake wall has inspired lots of people to try to make their own plausibly realistic fake wall and see if Tesla FSD would drive through it. I can kind of see that wall coming. Let me know if you can as well. Just because of the sky. You can see the skyline across the top. And yeah, in this case, FSD did stop. It wasn't fooled by that pretty good fake wall in the street. I guess that's what we're doing this week. Here's one from Scotty at Scotty_knows401. The $42 billion should have been a tax credit for every rural resident to buy a Starlink receiver. All of rural America would have had high-speed internet within a few months for less than $42 billion. Yeah, way less. Like a quarter of this amount is the amount of money you would have needed to have provided high-speed internet to everybody in rural America who wants it for the whole 4 years that none of them have gotten any rural broadband service. Yeah, all you would have to do is say on your tax, your 1040 On your tax filings every year, you're allowed to deduct from the amount of taxes you owe the amount of money you spent for one Starlink receiver, not per year, one ever. Well, I'm giving my camera unintentional commands now with my hand signals. And Starlink service. So Starlink service is $100 a month, then $1,200 you get to write off of your taxes every year. And that would have provided direct assistance to everybody who wants broadband, who is a rural American. You just say, here are my receipts showing that I purchased a Starlink receiver and that I subscribed to Starlink service. Please deduct $1,200 from the amount that I owe the federal government this year. And that would be exactly the same, except way more efficient. Like, this is what our government needs more of. This idea. We don't need giant federal bureaucracies and approval processes and committees trying to determine how your money ought to be spent. We should just let people keep more of their money by saying, okay, if we think it's a great idea to provide broadband to rural residents, let's just do it this way. That would be way easier and better and cost the taxpayer less. Here's one from Phil Truby at P. Truby. Yeah, and XAI just coincidentally raised about $12 billion that will be used to retire that debt, almost as if Elon knows what he's doing. So I don't think I'm going to make a separate video about this topic, but as you can see here, Elon announced yesterday a surprising announcement that XAI has acquired X in an all-stock transaction. The combination values XAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion, which is $45 billion less $12 billion of debt. So he has spelled it out for everybody here, so they know what's going on, and that's where that comment comes from. What does he mean with $45 billion less $12 billion debt? Means X is valued at $45 billion, but after including its $12 billion in debt, its valuation is $33 billion. That's a fair enough way of characterizing that. I think what I would have said is it means if X had no debt, their valuation would be $45 billion. But because they have $12 billion of debt, their valuation is $33 billion. Right, still the same math, just a different way of making the same point. It's saying, hey, if you want to go buy General Motors, if you wanted to make a buyout offer to own GM, every last share, buy out all the shareholders, they have $113 billion worth of debt. So however much you think that company is worth, if you buy the company, the $113 billion worth of debt comes with the company. Now, they have receivables that come with that, and that would be one of the things that you were buying with GM. Every time somebody finances through Ally Bank or whatever the name of their financing, internal financing arm is, they're going to make payments until they're done paying for their car, right? So there's, I don't know, $100 billion worth of receivables and $113 billion worth of debt, right? So however much you think those future cash flows are worth, apart from the debt, you got to subtract $113 billion from to get to the amount that you would offer them for the company, because then the debt is your problem after you own the company. That's what this is talking about. So Phil is making a good point here, saying, yeah, and XAI just coincidentally raised about $12 billion. Now, which kind of company do you think is easier to raise $12 billion for? An AI company or a social media platform? Let me think about this for a minute. Which is the hottest kind of business coming out of Silicon Valley these days? Is it AI startups? It is. So everybody wants to play in that space. All the venture capital, all the big banks want to be in AI. They want to be investing in a company they think might win the AI race. So if you're XAI, and you've got a really good model that people think might win, and you say, hey, market, we'd like to raise $12 billion worth of cash. Any takers? You'll have takers. You'll be oversubscribed on your offer, even at attractive terms. But if you're a 20-year-old social media company, I don't know if Twitter's quite 20 years old yet. It's getting close. And you say, hey, we need to raise $12 billion. People are like, well, how profitable is your is your 20-year-old company? It's a mature company. We need to know what kind of cash flows are you generating? Because if you don't have prospects, we're going to charge you a lot of interest on your borrowing. Or we're going to want a lower valuation on the company, and we're going to want to own a larger fraction of it for the money that we're giving you for equity in that company. So yeah, this is what's going on. Elon will pay off the debt on Twitter, old Twitter. So when he acquired Twitter, he had to borrow money to complete the sale at the price that the judge made him pay. Kathleen St. Jude McCormick said you have to pay whatever it was, 54 billion, 44 billion, something like that. He didn't have that much cash, and he had to bring along Saudi investors, I think, and others to be minority owners in Twitter when he bought it. So what does he get to do now that XAI has bought Twitter? He gets to take the $12 billion that XAI raised and pay off X's debt with it. So now there's no more concern about Elon getting margin called to be able to pay off X's debt, because X's debt is going to be paid off with all that money XAI raised, is the point Phil Truby is making. Now, am I speculating? Yes. Does the math add up? Yeah. Like if Elon wants to go back and borrow another $10 billion to buy NVIDIA chips, he'll be able to, because people want to invest in AI. They want their money going towards making better AI. And this does make XAI better. If they have no firewalls between them and X, they have direct access to real-time information that other AI assistant companies do not have. So Grok will be able to tell you about stuff that's happening today, right now, and every other kind of AI assistant won't be able to, with the exception of maybe Google, and they have ChatGPT, right? Here's one from Sawyer Merritt that I retweeted. The cheapest car brands to own and maintain, Tesla is #1 most affordable car to own and maintain, according to Consumer Reports. And if you were to include fuel in this number, it would get even better, because electricity costs a lot less than gasoline. So I thought that was good. I quote tweeted it, adding some commentary of my own. You already saw that one. Here's Florida Man's Wife at Chaz Sumner Wife. We just got our first Tesla today. Smiles all the way home using FSD. It's everything we imagined as kids that cars would do when we grew up. Yeah, all right, good stuff. Good post. Here's another one from Yashu Sharma. He got 2 this week. Hey, it's Yashu is his handle on X. So 33% of the entire nation would consider buying a Tesla? That's the real headline. Reposting Electrex. 67% of Americans would not consider buying a Tesla, new poll says. Well, did you ask Americans what percentage of them would consider buying a Mercedes-Benz? Could it be the same number? Did you ask how many of them would consider buying an Infiniti? Would it be the same number? Like, most Americans don't buy luxury vehicles. Pick your brand. I think a 33 or 34% take rate on a luxury vehicle is awfully good. So it just goes to show how the same data is interpreted differently by people. maybe due to their internal biases. And we'll leave that. We'll set that question aside. And you, the dear reader, can decide for yourself. Here's Tesla Chan saying, buy Tesla, buy hashtag Tesla. So this top photo here, this angle is showing you people lined up to buy a Tesla. They want to buy a Tesla. And this photo at the bottom shows you how many people are in line to buy a Tesla, which might prompt you to buy Tesla stock, is the point being made by Tesla Chan here, I thought, brilliantly, as did 2,600 other people who liked it. And the last post that I liked this week came from Warren Redlick, relaxing in your Bangkok condo rooftop pool win. Oh, this is only one of the angles. I've seen the same thing from a different camera angle. So, wow, this luxury hotel, I would guess, has a lot of security cameras on their infinity edge pool at the top of this skyscraper. That is nutty stuff to see happen. And if you're wondering if those cushions are going to go over the edge, yes, they are. Every last one of those is going to spill over the lip and fall probably 100 stories, it looks like, to the ground. Hopefully not landing on anybody if those pillows were very waterlogged. I imagine the tumble rate's pretty high on pillows, so terminal velocity on a pillow might only be a meter per second or something. But there you go. That is my video for this week. So with that, we will check back in with Loki to see that he has just moved a little bit over here to tuck his head in and stay warm in our very cold house. It's Florida, but we sure keep it cool inside the house. And I will thank you for watching the video. Remind you to like the video if you liked the video. And a special shout out to my two executive producers. There they are, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellion.com. And I'll see you in the next one.